I recently had a one-time sexual romantic encounter with someone from out of town through work. It really was nothing, a little making out after a work party. I feel like I should or need to tell my partner, but I think it would devastate him and he'd never get past it. My friends tell me nothing much happened and I should just keep it to myself. One of my friends did a similar thing, told her husband, and they ended up breaking up. I believe in always being truthful. I don't think I could just keep it inside. It would eventually come out or get out, and that would be worse. I know each individual is different, and you can't tell me how my girlfriend would respond. But if my values say truth, no matter what, shouldn't I live up to that and deal with the consequences? Wait, what an awesome question. So, first of all, I want to say that I think to some degree you answered your own question, because you said everybody is different, and I agree with you. And everybody's situation is different, everybody's context is different, and also everybody's sense of like what it really means to be in integrity with yourself is not necessarily the same. But what you're saying in your question already is that you are somebody who wants to speak the truth to your partner, and that you can't really live with yourself if you don't, and that you know already it's going to come out in other ways. So in a way, your answer is already contained within your question. But I do have a couple of more things to say about it. And one is that I think, just reading into your question, that what the issue is here isn't that it was a little thing and that it was meaningless, or that you only kissed and you didn't have full-blown sex or whatever. I think the issue is that it sounds from your question that you and your partner are in a monogamous relationship. And so in that moment, you went outside of that. And your partner didn't have the opportunity to say whether they were okay with that or not. So it wasn't consensual. And I think that's the issue that's bugging you in terms of your own integrity. And so one of the things you could do is just, follow your conscience and say, I'm going to tell my partner. Okay, that's one way of doing it. But what I would suggest is going a little deeper with it and saying, okay, I'm this person who has this kind of deep integrity in myself. And yet in that moment, however unimportant it was, I did go outside the agreement that I made. So what is that about? So instead of just going like, oh, was it a big thing? Was it a small thing? To either like justify it or minimize it, to be curious about it and to say like, oh wow, what was going on in that moment? And I'm just going to give you a couple of options, and none of those necessarily have to be true for you. But it could be, for example, that you're not ready to enter into a fully monogamous commitment with that person. Or maybe you want to experiment more, have more of a polyamorous arrangement. That's one possibility. Another possibility is sometimes there are things going on in the relationships that are disturbing or that you're still upset about. And sometimes those background reactions can cause us to break an agreement in that moment. So yeah, just find out for yourself what it is about. And I think doing that soul searching first before you tell your partner will give the conversation a whole other level of depth and opportunity. So it's not just a confession, but it's actually like, hey, this is what I did, I explored it, this is what it's about. Let's talk about that. And both being accountable, but also exploring what that means for your relationship. And I think in that way, it holds potential to deepen your relationship and your intimacy.